They were John Everall, Daniel Amokachi and Duncan Ferguson. Liverpool's casualty list have been lengthening too, but Mark Wright and Rob Jones are sufficiently fit to return, and Neil Ruddock is back in the side after suspension. Ruddock, Wright and John Scales will be the three centre-halves. The pace absolutely relentless here. Ferguson could be through. Ferguson with a shot, great save by David James, who came out so quickly then. They were appealing there in vain for offside. And Ferguson couldn't capitalise on his opportunity. That's really there to the alertness of David James. Collymore, who has caught the eye of Terry Venables again then, to including him in this latest squad. Been playing so well for Liverpool after a very scratchy start when he was finding his feet at Anfield. Confessed he was very unhappy to start with. But now things are really working out well for him in harness with Robbie Fowler. Great partnership developing between the two. Oh, James has lost it. Off the crossbar. Kaczynski's, yes. Everall so nearly scored. Kaczynski's has. 18 minutes gone. David James was left floundering then. And in the end, Kaczynski's was able to score. Just misjudged it totally, that James. Back off the frame of the goal. And Kaczynski's was able to nip in to score. John Barnes, away from Everall. Still Barnes. A deflection into the path of Collymore. It's got behind for a goal kick. But my, what a scare then for Everton. Watson. Ferguson to Amokachi. Terrific stop by James. It goes Everall and Ferguson. Frantic defending by Liverpool. And somehow they managed to survive. An almighty scramble there. Just couldn't hold on to the shot then, James. He had to be very brave as Ferguson closed in on him. McManaman. The pitch getting heavier and heavier as the game wears on. And there are going to be some very, very tired legs out there. John Barnes. McManaman. Everton have regrouped defensively, but they've been stretched down the flank. McAteer's cross. In went Collymore. He was in the right place. And that could cross in by Jason McAteer. See McManaman trying to hold on Everall, who refused to lie down. Barnes. That's Collymore! Up the ball! Great effort by Collymore. Here he is again. Well, he revived memories there of goals early in the season. And he's hit this one with such confidence. He's curled it, really. Beyond Southall, denied by the crossbar. This is Kaczynski's now, taking on Jones. Still Kaczynski's away from Jones. Horns in the centre. On goes Kaczynski's. Well, he's prepared to take the lot on there. Fantastic run by Kaczynski's. Blistering pace. He's come inside John Barnes, who's just in enough. And he could have clinched it then for Everton. McAteer. In for McManaman. Is he going all the way here? Collymore! Not his night so far. Perfectly placed at Neville Southall to make the save. It's all about angles here. Such an experienced goalkeeper. Scales to Thomas. Audacious shot at goal then from Ferguson. Well, he'd seen David James off his line. Maybe Craig Brown has seen enough now, the Scotland coach. I wonder if he saw that. Liverpool driving forward again. McManaman wide to Collymore. Collymore's cross. There, Robbie Fowler. Superb crossing. And such a clinical finish. 3 minutes from time from Robbie Fowler. Goal number 36 for him this season. And it's brought Liverpool back on level terms. And you have to say, it's just reward for them after their spirited showing in this second half. In by Honecker. That's his shot. It's drama right to the end. It wasn't far away. Mark Honecker. No foul. Play on, says David Ellery. And he's blown the final whistle now. It's on as even on Merseyside, thanks to Robbie Fowler's goal just a few minutes from time. The final score from Goodison Park: Everton 1, Liverpool 1. Of attention switched again to the top two, who were back in action the following night. Newcastle were at home to Southampton, and Manchester United, beaten by the Saints last weekend, were facing Leeds here at Old Trafford. This was to be the last occasion the two leading clubs would play at the same time before the last day of the season. Going into the midweek games, United held a 3-point lead and a better goal difference, but Newcastle had a game in hand. Leeds have had a disappointing season, but are still capable of matching the best when the mood takes them, especially when they're playing a Manchester United side that includes their former player, a certain Eric Cantona. It's the first time the whole ground has been open at the revamped Old Trafford. Commentary on the highlights comes from Martin Tyler.
Alex Ferguson has responded to defeat at the Dell with 3 changes. Gary Neville and Lee Sharp are left out, plus Nicky Butt, who starts a 2-match suspension. Brian McClare is recalled in midfield. Phil Neville returns at left back, but the big news for United, Gary Pallister, back trouble has restricted him to just 3 league games since November, but he returns tonight. The most significant change made by Howard Wilkinson, Mark Beanie in goal in place of John Lukic. In front of him, Paul Beasley and Nigel Worthington are also brought back to the defence. And in midfield, Mark Ford's available again. His overzealous tackling has meant an appearance in front of the FA Disciplinary Committee, but he is available once more tonight. No Thomas Brolin, increasing the belief that the Swede may well be leaving Leeds shortly. Manchester United very glad to be back in action after the dismal showing at the Dell. Keith Cooper is the referee. United also glad to be back in their familiar red shirts against opponents here who've given Manchester United trouble in the past at Old Trafford. And here is Cantona. Beanie makes a save straight away. No sooner back in the team than back in the thick of the action, Mark Beanie, to stop Cantona giving the game a sensational start. But you could detect the eagerness of Alex Ferguson's players to reimpose themselves here in the championship chase. Phil Neville, who's had some ankle trouble. Leeds have lost their last 3 in the league. They've lost 6 of their last 7 in all competitions. Here's Keane, more work for Beanie. That was a good try from the midfield player. And 2 important saves from Mark Beanie already. United's corner. And the pillar-like Pallister, of course, an important consideration in both penalty areas. They've missed him at set pieces. But this was Keane in free play with a fine shot. Bruce. Off goes Cole. Now, was that handballed by Beanie? I think it was, and he might have to pay a heavy price for that. Just outside the area it looked. If it looked that way to referee Keith Cooper, Beanie could be off. He tried to come out and use his head, but he used his hands. A red card for Beanie. How close was it? Well, very, very close indeed. But adjudged outside the area. Now, Howard Wilkinson hasn't got John Lukic on the bench, but he has got Lucas Radebe, the South African outfield player who was a goalkeeper as a youngster. Steve Bruce is also having to go on, maybe with a recurrence of that hamstring problem. He's substituted by David May. Mark Ford departs for Leeds to allow Radebe to come on to keep goal for the second time this season. And straight away, he's tested, not quite by Cantona. The goal was certainly on for the Frenchman, thinking that he got the newcomer here to try and deal with, but it just curved wide of the post. Well, it's all in Alec Ferguson's favour. Lucas Radebe played and kept a clean sheet for half the match recently against Middlesbrough. This is Gray, and it's the other goalkeeper, Peter Schmeichel, who has to sprawl to his left to stop the teenager Andy Gray putting United behind. Manchester United, that is. Corner to Leeds. Taken by Worthington. And the referee had a good view of some shoving in the centre. Steve Bruce has to sit it out, and could possibly be a doubt for the remainder of the championship run-in and the FA Cup final itself on May the 11th against Liverpool. This is Gray, who's shown a willingness to shoot already and does so again. Well, it arrived at Schmeichel at a pretty good height, but there was some swerve on the shot that made the save more awkward. McAllister's corner. That's Weatherall's speed. Schmeichel had already committed himself to his right to go for Weatherall's effort. And the change of direction by Gary Speed, well, had he been able to keep the ball down, Leeds would surely have scored. Giggs. Here's Brian McClare. That's a good stop by the stand-in goalkeeper again. He certainly enjoys keeping goal. He was signed by Leeds as a well-established international defender from South Africa, of course, Lucas Radebe. But what useful other string he has to his bow. And Leeds are playing with great gallantry at the moment. It's always a fixture in which they try and rise to the occasion, and invariably do. And having lost a recalled goalkeeper, the odds even more stacked against them, but it's still 0-0. And that's another nonchalant piece of goalkeeping by Radebe from Giggs, who connected very cleanly. It's understandably a shoot-on-sight policy from Manchester United. The championship table dictates that. Still, the breakthrough has not come. It might do now. Scholes. Cole. Blocked by Beasley and Speed together. It hits Gary Speed. It comes for Cantona. And he's annoyed with himself. Facing the goal. Did bounce up a little bit. But a man of his technique would expect to do better. You can reach out and almost touch the tension here at Old Trafford. Beckham. Cantona. Well, a draw would be regarded here as a failure, particularly in the circumstances, with Leeds playing from the 20th minute with 10 men and a makeshift goalkeeper. Gray. Well, I don't know whether he meant that. It was Brian Deane to try and pick out in the middle. But in the end, it was a little awkward for Schmeichel. May leads back on. Still May. To Cole. Well, strikers live and die by their single-mindedness, and although the better percentage here for Andy Cole would have been to cut it back, you can't deny a player like him the right to shoot for goal. Speed. Sort of character that Leeds are showing here has been conspicuously absent from many of their league performances, but they're on their mettle always against Manchester United. Keane on his mettle. Still Roy Keane! It's been a long time coming, but Keane has delivered, maybe in the nick of time for Manchester United. The passion shown in the congratulations to the scorer tells so much of the story here. A rousing goal from Roy Keane. 18 minutes to go. And finally, Manchester United are in front. Well, they've beaten a number of teams here recently by a solitary goal to nil. Arsenal, Tottenham, Coventry, and here they are 1-0 in front against Leeds United, who've been so stubborn. Neville. Manchester United might have expected a landslide when Beanie was sent off. It's been anything but. McAllister, Keane, whose goal, incidentally, the 50th of his senior career. What an important time to get it. Giggs. Cantona was a good idea to try and link up with Sharp. Too strong the layoff, though. Gray. McAllister, who was on schoolboy forms, of course, with Manchester United. That's Dean. Well, maybe what Andy Gray was trying to do earlier in the half when he dropped the ball onto the top of Schmeichel's crossbar, this time onto Dean's head, and Schmeichel made the save. Pallister, pleased to have got to this point in the game, his comeback game, but he's lost his old sidekick Steve Bruce once more. May, Scholes, Beckham, Cantona, back from May to Cantona, smacked against the bar, helped out of harm's way as it bounced back by a flick from Weatherall. And that would have put Manchester United at least into the comfort zone in this match. They've never had a moment during the game to switch off and think and wonder how Newcastle might be doing against Southampton. It's been total concentration to try and claim the 3 points that matter. Well, the setup here from the centre-back, May, and Cantona really cracked this one. Sharp. Cantona pulling to the centre, here he is. Control was very good. Mind working overtime to pick the right pass, he's found Giggs. Beckham. Oh, and Sharp. Well, the misses might matter come the final day of reckoning if we go to a decision on goal difference. Of course, even talk that there might be a playoff between Newcastle and Manchester United should their records be identical after 38 league games each. Sharp. Now Scholes. Well, Leeds have been lacklustre, particularly in the league this season, but they've done their supporters proud, and indeed Newcastle United proud in their efforts. But they are unhinged now. Sharp tees it up, and really, Manchester United have had opportunities since they finally found the way past Radovic to put the sort of look on the scoreline that would really help their goal difference situation. It stays at 1-0, and Cantona a culprit again here. Palmer. Still they can't relax around the ground. It's a fine challenge by May. Now they can. Manchester United have got their precious win thanks to Roy Keane's show of initiative. Next up for United, Keane's old club, Nottingham Forest. Leeds will want this season to be laid to rest as quickly as possible, at least as far as the league is concerned, but they performed nobly here with 10 men for the most part. But Keane found the breakthrough, and it's finished Manchester United 1, Leeds United 0.